Stuart is a low vision consultant. He works with quantum reading learning vision. He has 25 years of experience working, assisting people with low vision. He is passionate about the subject, and I'd like to welcome Stuart here today. Welcome, Stuart.
Thanks, Sabine, and thank you to MDF for inviting me to present today and to go over the A to Z of assistive technology aids. So I suppose probably the first thing that comes into it is really who can benefit the most from assistive technology. And assistive technology would assist the most people who have low vision, people who have blindness, and people who have learning difficulties. So I suppose low vision is really determined when someone can't have their eyesight corrected through conventional methods such as or surgery for the extreme cases, or conventional glasses or contact lenses. And someone who's classified as blind would have a visual acuity of 660 or worse, and that is, having trouble seeing the top line of the eye chart when you go into the optometrist for an eye test, or where you've got a reduction in your field of vision, which is something that I'll actually demonstrate on some of these further slides. So the main causes of vision loss are macular disease, cataracts, glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, retinitis pigmentosa, and there are some other medical conditions such as strokes, head injuries, and accidents, of course. So I've got a couple of slides coming up, which just for people who don't understand these different eye conditions, that will just demonstrate what it would look like for the person looking at this picture. So this picture of two boys in the park with a different eye condition. So the first slide is normal vision. This second slide shows someone who has cataracts. So cataracts, as you can see, the image is quite sort of blurry. So it's a little bit similar to sitting in your car early in the morning and all the windows are fogged up. So as you can see, the boys, they're just really not in focus. The next slide is for glaucoma. So as you can see, the boys' faces are reasonably in focus, but the edges, the peripheral vision there is reduced. Diabetic retinopathy. Once again, there are very patchy vision. There's gaps all over, and it's also blurry as well. So similar to cataracts, where there's no gaps in the vision. Retinitis pigmentosa. So retinitis pigmentosa, can be quite severe tunnel vision. So as you can see, very little vision in the peripheral, but just some central vision. Now the last slide is macular disease. So with macular disease, you can see that there's quite a lot of loss or reduction of central vision. So the boys' faces are sort of blurred out, and the person still does have some peripheral vision. So macular disease is the leading cause of vision loss in Australia. It's estimated up to 800,000 people have macular disease, and of these 800,000 people, 120,000 people have severe vision loss. So macular disease is definitely by far the largest cause of vision loss. So the best defense against macular disease is really to have regular eye tests, because early identification of macular disease leads to some treatments that can be carried out. So regular eye tests with your optometrist. The optometrist may ask you to do something which is called a fields test, which is where they're actually testing the fields for any of those gaps in your vision, each eye independently. Now, the reason why they do each eye independently is because you can actually be losing your vision in your right eye, but because you can see that area with your left eye, it can actually trick you a little bit, and you may not notice you're actually losing some of your vision. So definitely regular eye tests, and any questions you can always call the Macular Disease Foundation with the number on the screen there, and they can certainly help you with any questions about macula. So what are the impacts of losing your vision? The impacts are increased social isolation, difficulty with daily living tasks, increased risks of falls and scratches, increased depression, anxiety, and reduced life expectancy. So it really just means that you really do have trouble just doing the normal day-to-day activities that you would normally do. And things like social isolation could be that you may not be able to read your mail to know that there is an event on that you would like to go and participate in, so you don't go. So all of a sudden you're missing out on all these social occasions, and you just don't get to participate anymore. So the other thing about reduced daily living skills is really your reduced independence. And I suppose there's lots of things, just like viewing photographs, reading magazines and books, checking labels on foods when you're down at shops, signing checks, documents, personal grooming, hobbies and craft. So there's a lot of things which you really do take for granted unless you have a vision related problem. So assistive technology that improves your daily living. I've got a whole list here, and we'll go through some slides detailing a little bit more about these in a minute, but we have lighting, household aids, optical magnification, electronic magnification, virtual reality aids, smartphones and tablets, reading machines, Braille, third-party aids, computer access, software and hardware. So the first one is lighting, and lighting is very often overlooked. Any of those eye conditions that we talked about before, the more lighting that people have, the better chance they have of being able to see things. It doesn't have to be very expensive, really bright lighting. It just has to be as close to natural lighting as possible. So people can always see better outside in natural light. We don't want spotlights. We don't want really hot lights that burn things. We just want a diffuse lighting that doesn't change the color of what you're trying to look at. So we also don't want funny colors like, you know, red lights or blue lights or anything, just as close to natural light as possible. Household aids. Now there's lots of different household aids that you can get. There's liquid level indicators, which is a little device that you put in a cup, and when you fill it up and when the water level gets towards the top of the cup, it will beep. It will tell you that, you know, you've nearly filled your cup up. A lot of talking devices like microwaves, tape measures, there's even scales that talk. So they will actually tell you, you know, how long, you know, the microwave has to go to cook, or use the tape measure. It'll tell you how long something is when you're trying to measure it. It's tactile items like board games, cards, raised edge plates. So, you know, when you're trying to eat, you don't want all the food falling off the edge of the plate. And there's a couple of new devices like Google Home and Alexa. So these really new devices are good. You know, you can control your lights in your house by using Google Home and Alexa these days. You know, you can ask it questions about things, and they just answer. They can put music on for you. So there's lots of things that you can do these days with the technology of Google Home and Alexa. There's optical magnifications. So optical magnification, now this also includes eyewear from your optometrist. So optical magnifications range in strength from 1.5 times magnification up to about 15 times magnification. What happens is a reasonably weak magnifier, like a 1.5 times, you can have quite a large lens, about 100mm lens. Once the level of magnification increases and you start getting a very strong magnifier, you'll actually end up with quite a small lens to look through. And the other disadvantage of a strong optical magnifier is, as the lens gets smaller and stronger, it is magnifying what you're trying to look at more. So instead of getting to look at a whole sentence, you may only be able to see a word or two at a time. And you know, the good quality optical magnifiers always come with lighting. So once again, improved lighting will improve your vision. There's also electronic magnification. So as you can see on the slide, there's two. These are actually portable electronic magnifiers that are on the display here. The ranges in sizes from a 3-inch screen up to about a 12-inch screen, and the size of the screens are actually measured diagonally. So with these magnifiers, it's really about the field of view. So before, when I said, you know, an optical magnifier at a 5 times magnification, you may only get, you know, like maybe one word of a sentence. With a large screen, 5 times magnification, you may still be able to get the whole sentence. So it's all really about what sort of field of view you could possibly get. The other advantage of these electronic devices is they change the contrast of the print that you're looking at. So as you can see on the screen, the device on the left has black background with yellow writing, and the one on the right is actually a natural color, because you can see that the numbers on there, 335, are in blue and the rest of it is in black and white. So you can change the contrast on these devices. They're generally rechargeable, and some devices come with text-to-speech options, which I'll talk about a little bit in the slides to come. The next size equipment are desktop electronic magnifiers. So these are really exactly the same as the portable electronic magnifiers, except they're quite a lot larger. So magnification ranges from about 1.5 times up to about 100 times magnification. Screen sizes range from about 13 inches up to 24-inch screens. The biggest advantage of actually a desktop magnifier is on the majority of them, there's actually a table underneath called an XY table, which actually moves left and right and also forward and backwards. And the advantage of an XY table is that you can actually move the reading material along in front of your eyes, and as we saw before, with gaps in your vision through any of those eye diseases that we saw before on those slides, you can actually get past some of those gaps to be able to put the sentence together and read it a little bit faster. There's also some devices where there's just cameras that work like a desktop magnifier. There's one called a transformer, and also there's some MagnaLink products where you can actually just connect a camera on its own to your own TV screen, and utilize your own TV screen to work like a desktop magnifier. You can get desktop magnifiers that also have text-to-speech ability. Virtual reality aids. So I've got two products on the screen here. One is called the Iris Vision, and the other one is called the ACE Sight. So probably the important thing about virtual reality aids, and they've only really been around for a couple of years, is that you cannot walk around with these devices. As soon as you put them on, you really can't see your immediate area. It's very easy to miss a step and trip over, or bump into things. So you definitely can't walk around with them. You can't drive the car with them. You really do need to sit down. They've actually got little screens that are very close to your eyes. So in a way, they're trying to replace a desktop magnifier. So some of these devices, you can also get text-to-speech, where they can read out printed text of what you're trying to look at. Once again, you can change the colors. You can change the contrast, the size of the magnification. Also very important with most of these aids, you really do need training and support to try these aids out to make sure they work. I certainly wouldn't advise anyone to just buy one of these devices on the internet and think it's going to be the answer for them. They really do need to try them out to make sure they're going to suit their vision and exactly what they would like to be able to do. Reading machines, which is text-to-speech. So I mentioned that text-to-speech just a little bit earlier with some of those other devices. I've got 3 products on the screen at the moment, which are really straight out reading machines. So there's nothing visual about them. There's no screen involved. So the idea is they would take a photograph of printed material and then read the text out so the person can listen to it. There's one there called a clear reader, which is very simple. It's about the size of a Weet-Bix box. You put the page in front of it. Doesn't matter if it's upside down or sideways or anything. Push a button on top. It will take a picture, work out the text, read it out loud so that you can listen to it. And there's 2 other products on there called from OrCam. There's the OrCam My Eye, which is a small device which is actually attached to that spectacle frame. Once again, it will take a picture, read out the print. The OrCam My Eye also does a few other features like facial recognition. It will also read barcodes, of different products. It'll tell you the time and some colors, identify colors for you. And the latest product is the OrCam Read, which is about the size of a biro, and it is just a standard straight out reading machine, which you would just have in your pocket, take out of your pocket, point it at what you would like it to read, and it will read it out. All these text-to-speech devices, they only work with printed text. So they don't work with handwriting. They can't work out all the different characters with everyone's different handwriting. There's also Braille. So I'll just quickly talk about Braille. So Braille is a tactile form of reading, really. So there's some raised dots which the person would run their fingers along, and they would actually feel the Braille, and all the different dots actually represent letters or even some words. And you can actually get like a Braille sort of laptops where the person can actually use like a laptop computer but read Braille on it as well, and you can print in Braille, which is called embossing on an embosser. Smartphones and tablets. So a lot of the time when I do a home visit with people, we talk a lot about smartphones and tablets, and why can't I use my smartphone or my tablet to be able to magnify things and change the color of things? And the answer is you definitely can. but you must have the skills to be able to operate the device. There's things like VoiceOver on the iPhone or the Apple devices and screen readers. There's new apps being developed all the time. There's one called the Seeing AI app, which is totally free. You can download it and use it. It's incredibly good. But probably the important thing is you definitely need to have the skills. If you have quite low vision, or if you are blind and you don't have any skills using this sort of smartphone technology or tablets, it's very hard to learn it. So the idea is learn how to use this technology as early as possible. It's a massive advantage. There is actually additional software that you can get to use your computer or internet access. Software, look, the most popular is Zoom Text. So with Zoom Text, you can magnify text. You can change the contrast of the text. You can have it read out to you or not. There's another program called Fusion and JAWS. So they are actually screen reading programs which will read out the text to the person. There's also OpenBook, and OpenBook with a Pearl camera will actually take the picture of a page and put that onto the person's computer so that then they can enhance the colors and save the text and manipulate the text once it's onto their computer. There's also a few new hardware out these days, like the MagnaLink tab, and as you can see on the slide there, it's actually like a Surface Pro computer which is attached to a tablet, and with that device, once again, you can use it as a magnifier. So the advantage of using something like a MagnaLink tab is that it's just a regular Windows-based computer, so you can use that for any other tasks that you normally would, such as like your internet banking or any of your school activities that you need to do. Third-party assistance. So third-party assistance is really using your smartphone to be able to ring someone to get them to assist you to see like where you are or what you're trying to look at. So of course, first of all, you need to make sure you have a smartphone and you're able to operate it okay. And there's one called Ira, and there's another one called Be My Eyes. And you would really ring them, and then they would access the camera in your phone, and really be your eyes. That's what they're actually doing. So it's third-party assistance. So the successful use of any of this assistive technology is really assessment and evaluation. So you really need to work out exactly what you'd like to be able to do. You need to try a variety of things. Probably the most common question I get is, I just want one thing that does everything, and really that's not possible. There's normally not just one thing which will cover every single task that the person wants to do. So yeah, very important that you things are assessed properly and we work out exactly what we want to do. Training how to use it, you have to make sure that whatever assistive technology you get, there is training and support to make sure that it's successful. I suppose with all these devices, there are definitely limitations on most of them, and it's very important that everyone understands what the limitations are. Can assistive technology be government funded? And the answer is yes. You can get assistive technology through the National Disability Insurance Scheme, My Aged Care, home care packages, job access, and Department of Veteran Affairs. So look, there definitely is government funding for these devices. there are different rules for different types of funding through the government, and it can be quite complicated to get some of these items funded. So the best thing to do if you wanted to use any funding is really ask a lot of questions, and we can always help out with that. So I'm not sure if there are any questions. Maybe if you did want any further information about any of these items, you can visit the Quantum website, which is www.quantumrlv.com.au, and there's also the 1300 number on the screen there.
Thanks so much for that, Stuart. That was fantastic. Now, I will remind everyone that in order to ask any questions today, we will need you to go to the question box from before. So just reminding you that you can see that now, and just click on the question mark and submit your question now, and then we'll come back to those questions in a moment. Of course, today's webinar is brought to you by the Macular Disease Foundation Australia. We were established in 2001, and our main goal is to reduce the incidence and impact of macular disease. We do that through various pillars of work, the first of which is prevention and early detection. Ideally, we want to prevent people getting AMD and other types of macular disease, and of course, pick it up sooner. And we do that through our education programs. So our education programs are held all around Australia. The sessions are often face-to-face, although during COVID, we have pivoted like a lot of other organisations and are now doing webinars. And at these sessions, we're really trying to remind people that regular eye tests are important. You may have normal vision and not realise that you have the beginnings of AMD. So a regular comprehensive eye test every year or two, depending on your age, is what's recommended. And at our talks, we also talk about what AMD is, who's at risk, what you can do to reduce your risk factors and improve your outcomes. Part of the prevention and early detection work also includes our awareness week work. So May, of course, was Macular Month. Normally in Macular Month, we spend a lot of time in the media and on radio and in the print talking about macular disease and the risk to Australians. It is the leading cause of blindness amongst Australians, and so it's important that people know what it is and that they should have regular tests. During COVID, we've done a lot of other work because the focus shifted somewhat, and you may have seen our awareness campaigns with Ita Buttrose, who's our outgoing patron. And that was really trying to ensure that people who currently have treatment for macular disease would attend their regular scheduled appointments if they were recommended to by their eye specialist and if they were feeling well. And of course, any other eye emergencies were also important to attend. Our second and perhaps the most important part of our work is supports and services, about giving people the right information so people can advocate for themselves. And that's something that I'm going to touch on a bit further. The voice of the macular disease community. So our advocacy work is something that goes on behind closed doors. We work very closely with government and policy makers and try to influence decision makers so that the costs perhaps for treatment are kept to a minimum or as low as possible, and we work to increase access to treatment and services through the advocacy work for all Australians through the public system. And of course, research and data. All of our recommendations and all of the literature that we use is evidence-based and has been run by our medical committee, which is a group of specialist ophthalmologists. And the foundation contributes a huge amount of money to research through our research grants program. Since 2011, when we first started the research grants program, we have contributed $4.1 million to research groups around Australia who are trying to find the causes of AMD and other macular diseases, and perhaps treatment options as well. We touched on supports and services. The National Helpline is the centre of everything that we do. The 1-800 number is toll-free, and it's a place where people can just ring up with any type of question, and we will endeavour to answer those. The girls who answer the phone, I shouldn't be sexist, but currently there is only girls, are vision scientists. They're very well qualified, and they can answer questions about the disease, about services such as the NDIS and My Aged Care. They can also ensure that you receive resources, booklets and information, which again is evidence-based and is available in 7 different languages. And even if you need an interpreter, we can also arrange that also. In addition to the usual resources, we also have a peer-to-peer telephone support line, and that has become a very integral part for people living with macular disease who would like to speak with other people who are having and share their lived experience. And these are all services that you can access through our national helpline, as well as going to our website, www.mdfoundation.com.au. So I'm now going to invite Stuart to come back, and we're going to go through a few of the questions that you have asked us today, and there is a huge amount of them, so I will kind of troll through there. Are you back with me, Stuart?
Yep, I'm here.
Fantastic. Are you ready? There's a huge list. Fantastic. So I'm just scrolling through. It's good to sort of have a look and see what are the more common questions. All right. Now somebody mentions here, they say, thank you for the presentation today. The advertised price for the OrCam is $3,995. Seeing AI does the same thing. Is it a free app for your phone and iPad, and which is the price of the OrCam? Why is it so expensive? Sorry, that's question's a little bit tricky, Stu.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I can answer it. That's fine. So I think the OrCam, the price that you saw there is actually probably in US dollars. So a lot of the time when people look at the prices for the OrCam online, it ends up on an American website. Don't ask me why, it's very, very common. So the prices for the OrCam, and the OrCam is a fairly expensive product, but it is also the most technically advanced portable reading device with the latest technology in the world. So that's one of the main reasons for the expense of it, is $7,250. So it is expensive. The new one, which is called the OrCam Read, and I actually have one here which I'll show you, which is the handheld device that you just hold and just point. It's actually quite a bit cheaper. It's $3,250. So they're still very expensive products, and things like these free apps, like the Seeing AI app, I highly recommend that people should have them. Like, you know, if you want to just if you have a smartphone, you just want to pull it out of your pocket and have a quick check of something, these apps are great. You know, you should definitely have one. But if you want to read a lot of things, you will struggle with one of these free apps to read like pages and pages of information. So it really does come down to trying out the different devices and working out what works for your situation.
Thanks, Stuart. So another question that I've been asked is, where can I purchase the digital magnifiers and how much are they?
Yep, so portable electronic magnifiers range in price depending on the screen size, really. So a small screen size costs about $300 approximately, and the larger screen size are about $2,000. So there's quite a big price difference on those products. You can definitely buy them from Quantum. So you know, you can just go to our website and look at all of the products on our website. We actually have little product videos. So when we were locked down in isolation for 6 weeks, we actually made short 1 to 3 minute videos of all of our products. So if you're not sure exactly, or you can't quite remember exactly what a certain thing did, you can go to our website and have a look, and it's very good. But once again, to work out what's going to work for you, you really do need to physically try it. Because depending on what you want to read and what your vision's like, there can be a big difference between buying a small $300 item to, you know, a $1,500 or a $2,000 larger screen.
Yes. And it is very individual. I know in my practice, one of the things that was really popular was those sewing lights that people often buy from craft shops, where you look through with a light. It's super simple, but for certain tasks, that's all they often need. I did have another question a bit related to that, Stu. Are low vision aids all the same? Can you purchase them from places like eBay or other places, or does the quality vary a lot?
It really does depend. Like if you're going to get an optical magnifier, you can definitely buy them on eBay, or, you know, on the internet. There's lots of websites that sell optical magnifiers. The difference is normally in the lighting on an optical magnifier. So you get, with a good German manufactured one, they'll have LED lights. The lights, you know, the batteries will last a long time, and the lights will last for a long time. You can go down the $2 shop and buy some as well, but you'll generally only be able to get a low strength optical magnifier from there. Like probably the strongest you'd probably get would be about a 3 times, maybe a 4 times from, you know, like the $2 shop or whatever. So there's definitely a quality difference. And for the electronic magnifiers, the same. Like, you know, you can get, you know, there's a lot of copies of electronic magnifiers that are cheaper, but, you know, are the batteries going to last? Are you going to be able to recharge them for a long period of time? So there's definitely quality differences. And once again, you really do need to try it out. If you've got reduced vision and you buy a cheap electronic magnifier that's got a poor screen quality, it's really not in your interests to get something with poor image quality.
Yeah, and I think the point you made during the presentation was a good one, that having a current up-to-date pair of glasses from your optometrist is a good place to start, because then what you're magnifying, what you're seeing is going to be better as well.
Yeah.
In terms of lighting, is there a minimum wattage that you would recommend for lighting?
No, not really. Yeah, it depends on the room that you're in. It depends on what you're trying to look at and what your vision's like. So I don't think there's a standard answer as far as lighting. Just try to get things as close to natural light as you can, and you don't want a spotlight. So you just want something that's got a nice even color to it, close to white as you can. No funny colors.
Somebody here asks, distance vision devices haven't really been discussed. Are there any recommendation for things such as picking up the bus coming towards you or the tram number?
Yeah, you're right. We haven't really talked about it. There's not a lot of aids out there that you can actually get for looking at a distance, other than there are some handheld sort of telescopic type devices that you can hold to look at a distance. Some of those virtual reality aids, you know, like the Iris Vision and the A-Sight, will do distance vision as well. There's a guy actually who got an A-Sight from us a little while ago, and he got it because his vision's changed quite a lot, and he's got a membership at the football, and he actually wanted it to go and watch the football at the MCG. Right. So I'm actually really looking forward to him going to the football, so he can give me some feedback on how that went, whether it was successful or not. So yeah, look, unfortunately, there's not a lot for distance vision, which will help, which I suppose is one of the reasons why, you know, people can't get devices to help them drive cars and things, because they're just sort of not there, unfortunately.
Yeah, quite limited. The OrCam, how far does that see ahead of you?
It sees quite a long way. So it will actually read things at distance vision. So if there was a street sign on the other side of the road, it can read the street sign. It's actually quite amazing how far it will look forward to read, but it's very dependent on the size of the sign that you're trying to read, the light conditions. If you've got a metallic sign on the other side of the road and the sun's, you know, glaring or reflecting off of the sign, it won't be able to read it. As far as facial recognition, the person who it's trying to recognize will really need to be within probably up to about 2 meters away from you for it to be able to recognize the person.
Okay, thanks, Stu. Another question I had is, does a representative visit the household to assess and recommend? And if so, what would the visit cost?
Yep. So at Quantum, we do home visits, workplace visits, school visits. So we do spend a lot of time going out and doing visits. We don't charge to go out and see people, so it's not a thing that we charge for. Currently, we have not been doing a lot of visits due to the COVID-19 situation. We also do have showrooms, so we have offices in Sydney, Brisbane and Melbourne where people can actually come to us and try out the equipment. So look, we do a lot of joint visits with occupational therapists, the guys at Vision Australia, the guys at Guide Dogs. So look, we work with most organisations just to try to work out the most suitable products for people.
Another question a bit related to that one also is, I don't have anyone to teach me how to use my smartphone. Do you help with those sorts of things too, Stuart?
The short answer is no, we don't. Mainly because it's a bit too complicated to actually do, and because we don't actually charge to go and see people, you know, we can't do things for free all the time. The guys at Vision Australia and Guide Dogs both have assistive technology people who can help people with training with smartphones. And if it's an Apple product, the Apple stores actually run free training sessions quite often. So they're normally before hours, so before the actual stores open. You can I think you just register and turn up and they'll teach you whatever you'd like to be taught.
That's a good tip. Thanks, Stuart. What about repairs? Can you get repairs and parts for the magnifiers in Australia?
Depends. Some of them you can. So we actually have a repair department in Sydney that repairs most things. If it's an optical magnifier and it's broken, it's really not a repair, but like it's cheaper just to buy another optical magnifier, really. If it's an electronic portable magnifier, if it can be repaired, it can be. Like, you know, we can quote for the repair of most products. Sometimes it is hard to get parts for older products, but yeah, look, we can definitely quote, and we do repair quite a lot of items for people. So, like generally, the quality of these aids is very good. Like they do last a long time, and there's not a lot of you know, breakdowns on these sort of devices.
Another question, do I need to have an assessment before purchasing a device?
No, you don't need to, but I think it's in the person's interest to make sure they get the right device. Like, you know, you could just say, yeah, look, I'll just buy this and buy it. But there could be an alternative product that possibly could have been better. So you definitely don't have to have one, but I just think it's sensible.
Mm-hmm. We still have a few questions to go, and I think we have time for them. You did mention diffuse lighting. What does that actually mean?
It really just means we don't want a spotlight.
Right.
So, you know, we don't want like a really bright, intense light in the middle. We want a so a diffuser is something that say with a fluorescent light, they put a diffuser in between the fluorescent light and the outside of the light just to break up the light so it's not a spotlight.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, some people who have had perhaps a stroke or have Parkinson's find it difficult to follow along a line to read. When you're using those reading devices, do they help with that? Do they assist you to stay on the line?
Yeah, so if someone's having trouble following a sentence along a line, those electronic portable magnifiers, a lot of them have the feature to have a guideline across the page. So you can actually use the guideline to help you read along the sentence and then get down to the next, you know, keep your spot on the page. The desktop magnifiers, because the tables underneath them move left and right, once again, you can have a guideline on the screen, but because the tables move in a straight line, it's actually easier to keep your place. The devices that read things out will just read it in a chronological order. Especially there's one device there called a clear reader, which will actually do in table mode, which means when a reading machine reads out, say if we were to look at a newspaper, it will actually break it up into columns and read down one column, then across to the next column, read down the next column. In table mode, it will actually ignore the columns and it will actually read directly straight across a page. So if you had something like a bank statement and you wanted to read a description on the left-hand side of the page, then go straight across to the right-hand side of the page to read out the dollar amount, something that reads in table mode will actually make sense. It's a bit hard to explain, but yeah, no, so there's definitely things that can help.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for answering those questions. I think that's about all we have time for now, Stuart. I really appreciate you taking the time to go through those.